Every night you enter a state where the world disappears, your thoughts stop, and even the sense of being a person is absent. There is no dream body, no waking body, no effort, and no fear. Yet you do not cease. When you wake, you say, I slept well. Something was present during that blankness. Something knew the absence of all experience. That silent presence is worth examining closely. If this exploration supports you, give a like, subscribe, tap the bell, and leave a comment. Your voice helps others open to this same insight. Welcome. This is Richard Clarke. Today we look at Tattva Bodha, verse 23, the silent witness behind deep sleep. The self, identified with the causal body, experiencing deep sleep, is called Prājña. This verse describes a state where both waking and dreaming have dissolved. In deep sleep, the senses are inactive, the mind is quiet, and the subtle functions that create dreams are completely still. Only the causal body remains. This causal body holds latent tendencies and the unexamined sense of individuality in a seed form. In that stillness, the experiencer is called Prājña. Prājña is not the mind because the mind is absent. Prājña is not the dreamer because dreams are not present. Prājña is not the waker because the waking world is not known. Yet an experiencer must be present because after waking, you report the quality of your sleep. You say you slept well or you slept poorly. This confirms that awareness was present even though nothing was seen, heard, or thought. Prajna is the self appearing as a state of undifferentiated potential. There is no sense of individuality, but the seed of individuality is still intact. Ignorance is not gone, it is simply inactive. The verse points you towards the quiet background behind all experience. Deep sleep reveals that awareness is not tied to thoughts or sensations. Awareness remains even when every layer of personality becomes silent. This has major implications for practice. It shows that the self is present without forms, without ideas, and without the sense of being a person. The self is not something you achieve. It is the silent ground that remains when everything else stops. This verse helps you see that your deepest state each night gives a direct hint of your true nature. In deep sleep, there is no worry, no striving, no story, no conflict, and no identity. Yet peace is present. You enjoy that peace and naturally return to it. The experience of deep sleep shows that the mind is not required for peace. It also shows that your identity as a person is not constant. It disappears every night without effort. This verse encourages you to question the weight you place on the waking personality. If the waking identity disappears daily, then the waking identity cannot be the self. By looking at prajna, you recognize that the self is present even in the absence of all forms. This recognition softens your attachment to thought structures and emotional narratives. You start to notice the quiet background that remains the same during waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. This insight is a strong support for self-inquiry. You start to ask what remains when all states come and go. You begin to sense the still present that never sleeps. That presence is not touched by waking troubles, dream movements, or the blankness of deep sleep. When you lean into that awareness in practice, the sense of inner heaviness reduces. You feel less entangled in the mind and more connected to the stable ground of the self. Here's a self-inquiry. Who is present in deep sleep when the mind and senses are absent? Rest your attention on the presence that never disappears, even when waking and dreaming fade. Feel the quiet steadiness beneath every state. Let that recognition settle. If this helped your practice, give a like, subscribe, tap the bell, and share your reflections in the comments. Your insights support others who walk the same path. Stay sincere, stay steady, and keep turning inward. Namaste.